remember having a conversation actually with Jim here like last month, I think it was like, hey, the last couple of weeks you've really sort of taken us up and it's been a little harder, and then we start to sort of like soften out, and that's the way I tend to work. Not even specifically meaning to, but we all need like some peaks and valleys as we go through life and practice, right? And so I feel like this week is a little bit more of one of those valleys where we get to spend a little bit more time low on the mat, really good stretch. But not that it's an easy pose. Like Agni is fire, so it's a fiery pose, even though it is settled. It's like Firelog pose, like building that campfire that really does let energy lift and release. Take a comfortable seat. Also reminds me to mute. Take a comfortable seat on your yoga mat. Try sitting cross-legged with your ankles under the knees. So this is actually halfway to the pose already. So ankles right underneath the knees. I'm sitting on some height to make that even more attainable from the very get-go of class. And then turn the palms up along the thighs and sit really tall through your spine. As we typically will, turn the gaze low or close your eyes. And just come into your breath. And I do want you to be really watchful of the breath today. Some practices we talk about it a little bit more, some not so much at all, but today I really do want us to watch the rise and fall of your breath. Maybe even count the length of your inhale and the length of your exhale here. So that from your sort of starting seated position, you can see what that breath is, how it maybe changes, finds new pathways throughout the movement practice. I sometimes relate the sort of peaks and valleys of a yoga practice, of the movement, to love. And so I'm reading this section from Judith Lassiter's Living Your Yoga, one of my favorite books to read from. Judith says, sometimes I notice my yoga students practicing their less than favorite poses with a ho-hum attitude. At these moments, I remind them that although yoga is powerful, it cannot transform us unless we love it. When we love, we are receptive to the other. When we love, we are vulnerable. Although being vulnerable can be frightening, it is also the doorway to the ultimate freedom written about in the Bhagavad Gita. This from the Gita. Content with what is chance obtained, transcending the opposites without envy, the same in success and failure, though performing actions, he is not bound. Bring the palms together and the thumbs to the sternum. And Anjali Mudra. Deepen this gesture of intention by bowing chin towards the chest, giving thanks for the ableness of our body to practice through both the movements that we love the most, those that we feel a little more ho-hum about. See the peaks and the valleys. And see all with love today. Okay, let's release the hands, lift the chin, and open the eyes. First thing, just move the other foot in front. So we're just crossing the opposite ankle in front, and then lean forward. And this should be a pretty light stretch in our outer sit bones here, across the outer hip and thigh. And then we'll come back upright and switch one more time. Put that first ankle back in front and go over. Just a couple of breaths. Okay, and then back upright. Change to all fours. Just going to keep using my padding today. Why not? A little more loving on the knees. Hands right under the shoulders, knees right underneath the hips. And we start in cat and cow. Let the spine change and move up and down. Sort of back and forth. Today, add in maybe a little bit of a wag from side to side. Whatever feels nice. Open it up. Send this loving energy to ourselves, to the practice. Maybe there's one specific loved one that you have in mind that can feel the energy as well as we practice. Okay, from cat and cow, sit back in child's pose, knees apart, big toes together. Reach the arms out in front. Again, paying attention to the breath. And then walk the hands a bit over towards the right side, kind of splitting the chest over the right thigh and giving a little bit more reach, a little bit more room from left fingertips, and then pulling back towards the left hip. And walk the hands across the center. Move it on over to the second side. Same thing there. Reach out to the right fingertips, but pull back on the right hip at the same time. And then walk the hands back to the middle. Again, come up to all fours. Knees can be together, but hands still as wide as the shoulders. And then lift the right leg up and back. Try to lift more from the inner thigh so that we keep our hips square, and point out to the toe. If it helps, maybe flex. Make sure the toes are pointed down. And then once you know that, then point the foot. So we'll get all of the length that we possibly can today. Have you sunk down at all into the hands and bottom knee? Try to puff up a tiny bit through the mid to upper back. Keep the breath here. And then today we're taking the left hand straight out to the side like an airplane wing. I've just been playing with slightly differing movement here. So we have to find the balance in a little bit of a different way than we're used to working. And then set the left hand back down, bend the back knee, and try to point the toes more up to the sky and lift the leg just a little bit higher so it really engages our glutes, our quads here. Lift, lift, lift. Getting everything active in the legs, and then pull the knee into the chest and around your back. And finally set the knee down. Tuck your toes and sit back on your heels. So tuck toes, sit back on the heels. Interlace the hands on top of your head. Flip the palms and make your arms as straight as you can. This tends to puff my chest and mid-ribs out and up. Try to pull it back in and down. So this month in the hub, head up, heart open. We've done that head up portion a whole lot through the strengthening aspects of poses. Heart open, working some pretty solid back bends. Come back down, arms by your side. Out to all fours, flat feet. Today working that heart open section more through a softening of mind. Lift the left leg up. Again, point the toes, try to keep the hips square down towards the floor. Knowing that sometimes if we let ourselves feel the breath, take the right hand out to the side. The way that I work head up to me often means push, push, push through. This is more of like head up by sitting back a little bit, standing back a bit. Okay, lower the right hand down, bend the back knee, lift the leg a little bit higher until you're super fired up in the glutes. Keep trying to look forward rather than down. And then pull the knee into the chest, round the back like cat pose. And set the knee down. Regular all fours. One more round of cat and cow. And then again, tuck the toes and sit back on your heels. This time, just a little twist. Look towards your right side. And look towards the left side. Feeling a little extra flexibility in the feet goes a long way in today's practice. Okay, so if you come a little bit forward and then lift the knees up off of the mat. I want to take the knees out to the side. I've still got my heels up. They're not down. Knees out to the side. And we're going for a squat here. Make your upper body like it's in child's pose. The knees out to the side. Send your torso through the legs, kind of down towards the ground. As much as works for you, press the heels back down towards your yoga mat. My heels stay up, especially now at this point in practice, but other bodies will have the opportunity to push their feet all the way flat down to the ground. Go for what works. Okay, and then we set the knees back down. Crawl out to a low lunge. Right foot forward, left knee back. I'm going to keep both hands to the inside of the foot. Pop the back knee up. So we're using a little more space of the mat, hands on the inside of the foot. You can scoot your right foot all the way over to the right side of the mat. And then go shift forward and back. Straighten and bend the front leg. Forward and back, forward and back. Come back to the breath. Okay, we'll keep the right knee bent. Again, lower the back knee to the ground and pull the heel in towards your seat. Take the opposite hand, your right hand, all the way up towards the sky. Look over your right shoulder. Option to stay just like this, or to take the right hand and reach back, hold on to your foot. If you have hold of your foot, lift your hips higher up and back. Try to match your outer sit bone to your heel. And then as if that's one unit, you send the hips together, more down and forward, keeping the heel pulled in towards your outer sit bone. So it's not how low can the hips go, it's how low can they go, keeping the heel connected. And then nice and slow, release the hold of the foot if you have it. Take the hands all the way back to the inside. Pick up the back knee, plank pose. So I'm just gonna heel toe my right foot around until it can step back to plank. One line from head towards the heels. You are allowed, of course, to break the line and have the knees on the ground, but try to keep your arms straight, and again, always looking a little bit forward rather than down. Hold this strong, steady plank for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want us all to lie flat down onto the mat. Reach your hands back, turn the palms face up towards the sky, and lift everything that you can up. Shalabhasana, or locust pose. And then exhale, lower it down, press back to child's pose, give it a breath there. And then we'll do it all on the second side. So if you move the hands more towards the right, there's room to step the left foot forward, closer to the left edge of the yoga mat. Lift the back knee and rock a little bit forward and back here. Take your front leg to or towards straight each time. I'm flexing the foot and kind of pulling my toes up off of the mat, whatever feels good there. And then let's keep front knee bent. Lower the right foot down, right knee down, I should say. From here, take the left arm up to the sky as you turn, open up. And then we're either staying there, pull the back heel in, or holding on to the back foot. Good. Once you're holding on to the back foot, we're going to lift our hips to touch the heel. Not having to pull the heel in, we're lifting our hips up and back. And then once that is connected, the whole unit goes down and forward. And I try my best to keep the heel pulled in towards the outer sit bone. Okay, slow release. Hands like plank, lift the back knee up and heel toe the left foot around. That's helping us to get into the hips and step it all the way back. Hold top of your plank, whether it's toes or knees for you. Squeezing the glutes, lengthen the tailbone, tone the belly. Keep looking a little bit forward. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lie flat down. Again, hands back, open or interlaced here. Lift it all up. Hands open or bound, Shalabhasana. And exhale, release, press back, child's pose. Give it a whole breath. Nicely done. Downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Bend your knees a lot and walk your hands backwards to your feet. So we're at the end of our sticky mat. In the standing forward fold, hold on to your elbows, keep a bend in your knees. Sway a little bit from side to side. This is that ragdoll hold. Push the breath out here. So it's a little more forceful. Like blowing on the campfire to get the fire going. Push it out. And then slowly come up to standing. Roll the shoulders up and back a couple of times. And forward and down. Okay, let's journey up to the top of our yoga mat. Stand in your mountain pose, Tadasana. Arms down by the side, feet a little bit apart or all the way together. Where do you find you are steady, you are balanced? It's said that Tadasana, mountain pose, is the pose that contains all other poses and vice versa. So see the fullness, the love of this pose. And let's keep that energy filled. Lift the arms up to the sky. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank pose. Chaturanga Dandasana. Hover right above the yoga mat. And guide yourself into cobra or upward facing dog. Downward facing dog, hips up and back. Stay here, breathe here. Inhale fully. Exhale completely. Next inhale, look in between your hands. Exhale, step or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms to the sky. Urdhva Hastasana. Palms together, greet your center, greet your heart. Okay, lift again, do the same thing. Lift up, reach up. Exhale, fold as Uttanasana. Ardha Uttanasana, half lift. Step back and lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Bhujangasana, cobra pose. Urdhva Mukha, upward dog. Adho Mukha, downward dog. Gaze in between your thumbs. Step or jump forward. Half lift. Forward fold. Stand, reach the arms to the sky. Bring palms together, center of the chest. Inhale, lift the arms again. We'll start to add on here. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Stay here at the top of plank. Little change up. A little bit of an ode to how we started the month. Lift the right leg off of the ground. Changing up the resistance. Lower down and then push straight back up. Three-legged dog. Now step the right foot all the way through into your low lunge. Come up to high lunge, arms to the sky. Back heel down, warrior one. So prepping our hips for different rotations. Open up warrior two, so a little more open. And then coming back to the closed hip position, high lunge. Lift the back heel again, take the arms up to the sky. Warrior three, balance on the right leg, lift the left leg up. Think of how we started with hips square when we were down in that all fours position. Trying to mirror it here. And then everyone down to your low lunge. Step back to plank. Regular vinyasa flow, 2 feet on the ground, lower three, cobra or up dog. Up dog is the straight arm leg version. Everything off the ground except for hands and feet. And then everyone goes to downward facing dog. Look in between the hands and step or jump to the front of the mat. Half lift. Forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms all the way to the sky. Palms together, center of the chest. We've got one more side, one more flow. Here we are. Inhale, lift arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Keep going. I'm going to watch. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank and hold plank pose. Lift the left leg 2 inches above the ground, maybe up to 6. And then can you do essentially a push-up, lower down, and then come back up. Push. Three-legged dog. Lift through downward dog with the left leg in the air. Good, and then slowly step all the way forward into your low lunge. Keep the back heel lifted and come up to high lunge. Arms in the air, hips square to the front. Hips stay mostly square, but start to open a little bit as you spin the back heel down to the ground. So it pulls back a little bit, and then pull back a little bit more as you change to warrior two. Open the hips and shoulders fully to the side. Yeah. From there, go back to high lunge. Lift the back heel. It's different balance, control in the abdomen, arms back to the sky. Perfect. Warrior three, step forward on the left leg. Lift the right leg as high as towards the line of the hip. I often am holding onto a wall or something to help with balance. Feel free to. And then lower it all the way through, low lunge. Step back to plank. More of our typical vinyasa flow here through chaturanga, cobra or up dog. Everyone downward facing dog. Several rounds of breath. Again, maybe counting the length of your inhale and the exhale. A lot of times just by counting, I notice my breath start to even out. But I'm not forcing that change. It's just taking notice. Okay, next inhale, look in between your hands. Exhale, step or jump to the front of the mat. Half lift. Forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms all the way to the sky. And bring palms together, center of the chest. Okay, release your arms, give everything a little bit of a shake. Remind ourselves not to be so serious. And then I say that mostly for myself. I can get quite serious about what I'm doing. And then we're going to take our right foot like a low tree pose. So if you push your foot against your calf, but then cross it over to the other side, your outer calf, like figure 4. And then pull the heel up so it's right below the knee. And still point the knee out to the side. As always with balance, if you want to move over and hold on to something, that's cool. If you're just a little shaky, that's cool too. Okay, we're going to try to slide the heel up even higher so it's above the kneecap on the thigh, and still flex your foot. And then my knee starts to want to come up with me. The work is to extend from your inner thigh down towards the knee so it stays pretty open out to the side. This is the point where I want us to bend the standing leg and give it a little bit more help, a little higher. Okay, can you keep that as much as possible and go back to fully straight standing leg and torso upright. Good, good, good. Rebend the standing leg. That foot's probably getting a little crampy here. And if you've got hold with both hands, I want you to pick the leg up. If you're using something to balance, maybe it's back to the wall here. Okay, think of lifting more at your ankle, more from your ankle, which lets the knee just extend out to the side. This is one of those Firelog legs or standing pigeon pose, right? And then we're going to set it back down just like we stood it up. Go through all the same stages. So I'm slow going up and down, even though I know you're ready to get that foot down. And then you get to stand on 2 feet and shake it out. Second side. So if we're going first into easy tree pose with the foot right above the ankle, and then we're going to cross it over so the ankle's on the outside edge of the leg. Right off the bat, you might get a little bit of an understanding about how one hip works versus the other. Keep being kind to yourself, loving to yourself about those differences. Slide the heel a little higher up. Good. Without the use of the hands, can you slide the heel a little bit higher above the line of the knee? And then, like, I've got more flesh on the thigh, you can kind of work with a bit more. And then from here, bend the bottom knee. Use your hands to try to hike the foot up a little bit higher on the thigh, and then go again towards a full standing position. Tone in the abdomen. Okay, now we're going to pick up the leg so you can rebend. Hold on to your knee and foot. Try to keep the exact same shape as you lift the leg up. As if you could have a drink on that lower part of your leg and it doesn't fall off. As balanced as possible. And then we've got to set it down as much as you can. Stay with me along each and every stage. Finding each stage on the way down as much as we found it on the way up. So we slide it down, tree pose, and stand on 2 feet. And then shake it out. So when we get to Agni Sambhasana, sitting on the floor, I want you to just remember how much work and effort it is within the standing balance. And then we don't need to force anything. Sometimes when we sit down, we think we can force things around a little bit more. I like to do it about the same way that we do standing up. Okay, come back up to the top of the mat. It's like same pose, different, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Sometimes we're standing up doing it. Sometimes we're sitting down, different planes. That's what I'm trying to say. Lift the arms up towards the sky. Exhale, forward fold. And step it all the way back to downward facing dog. Okay, similar pose, different plane. Bring the right knee towards the right wrist. So this is pigeon pose, right? Usually in pigeon pose, I'm very conservative and I say keep the heel in close towards the sit bone. Absolutely, you can keep working that way. Today though, I want us to sit down off to the side and try to pull the right heel out so that you are forming a parallel line, your shin and the top of the mat. And then safely, keeping that, bring your body more on top of the leg. Now, do you have to get all the way up? No, you do not. I've got more weight falling over onto my right side here, and it's going to stay that way because of the way that my hips work. But we're getting the experience of that shin parallel to the front of the mat here. And then let's try taking it in halfway. And everybody's body is going to be a little bit different. So maybe you have pretty open, solid, safe way to work. You don't need to bring it in all the way halfway. Maybe you're like, nope, my bionic hip needs my heel all the way in, right? We're kind of finding where's that space. But I'm going to split the difference with you guys and say halfway and then climb all the way on top. So I have as much weight headed over to the left side as I do the right. And then again, I'm going to fall down onto the right side, out of the way. Okay? I want to go back towards that parallel leg. And this time, I'm going to let the knee come up as I move my body over to the left. Watch, it looks like this. I'm going to have the knee come all the way up. So it's kind of a funky little lunge position, if y'all can see that. And then I'm slowly going to take my way down, being very mindful, holding my weight in the hands of where that can go for me. Guys can see, but my knee ends up, you know, like 6-8 inches above the ground, something like that, when I've got the weight as equal in the back leg. Again, and then safely coming all the way down, so you're in more of that Z sit again, okay? And you can just take the legs out, give it a little bit of a shake. Stretch back to downward facing dog. Let's see where the other side takes us. So bring the left knee towards the left wrist. Heel at first in towards the hip. Mostly like your regular pigeon pose, yeah? But then we're gonna fall all of our weight over to the left side. With the weight all the way over on the left side, just try to do good angles for you guys here. You're going to pull the heel out until you have a parallel leg to the top of your mat. And then that's my work. I'm going to keep most of the weight over on the left side and see exactly how much I can pull myself back towards center, keeping hip down, knee down, ankle down. And this back leg is going to stay quite bent for me. And I've got almost all of my weight still falling onto the left side. Yeah, so we're all just kind of finding where is that spot. And pull the back knee back in and take your heel halfway, so like a 45-degree angle-ish, knowing your space, and then can you lift yourself all the way up on top? So then I've got as much weight forward as I do back. How's that one going for us? And again, I'm gonna safely come out of the pose. And this is the one where we pull our knee all the way up, almost like a lunge. Scoot up a little bit here. So here I'm gonna use and dig my back knee down into the mat as I lift up. And it's like I'm riding the right side of my mat here. Flex the foot. That's why we were sitting back on our feet at the very beginning of class, so I can have a really flexed wide foot action there. And then just slowly, slowly, slowly wrenching down and seeing where's the space between my knee and the floor if I'm keeping a very equal distant, equal weighted position. And then again, safely finding your way out of that. Legs around to the front and give it a little bit of a shake. Okay. Now, sorry, I just want us to do downward facing dog again so we get a really neutralizing position in between. I could skip it, but it's better to do it. Just down dog, pedal out the feet a little bit. Let's do child's pose with the knees more together. Like they can be a little bit apart, but not as wide as your yoga mat. And then sit back and reach your hands to hold on to your feet so you get to fold it all in. And give yourself a couple of breaths like that. Okay, now I think we're ready. Come on back up and stretch your legs out. If anybody already did the 45-minute class from yesterday, this is a little bit of a repeat from that. So our legs are outer hip distance apart, like not as wide as you can go, just a little bit. And this is a little bit like walking the leg up from that standing balance that we did. I'm going to keep my rights and lefts the same as you, which might look a little opposite, but it doesn't matter. We'll do both sides. So right ankle like it's in tree pose, right foot like it's in tree pose, low, and then you're going to cross it over to the side. You don't have to worry about balance here, so a little bit more doable perhaps. Pull the ankle up, heel up towards the lower half of the knee. And then from this point, we're going to lean over and do a couple of breaths. And then come back upright. Move the foot on top of the knee to the thigh, higher than the knee to the thigh, I should probably say. And then this right knee is just opening at the rate that it's going to open. I'm not trying to push it. I'm not trying to do much with that. But when I swing the pendulum of the upper body forward, it might descend into the hip crease a little bit more and give a little more mobility for that right knee to move more out to the side, down to the floor. Just like little bits of change. Okay, and then we'll come back up. And here's the switch for this one. Now I want you to point your foot. Instead of flex, point your foot and take the heel as high up into your hip crease as you possibly can. So it's a half lotus leg. When I do this, I like to lean a lot of the weight over towards the extended, the straight leg, the one that's on the ground. So you get the crease, the foot right up into the hip crease. And then again, like the pendulum, the more that I sit up, the more the knee and thigh go down. And then we fold over and give it a couple of breaths. Come back upright. And then slowly go down, down, down with the foot until it can open all the way back up. Okay. Other side, left foot in like it's doing a low tree pose. And then it's going to cross over at the ankle. Pull the heel higher up so it's right at the bottom of the knee. Fold over here. And then come back up. Can you take the ankle above the knee to the thigh? And we're still on a flexed foot for this one. Fold over, give it a couple of breaths. Still watching that breath. Attention to detail, so we see that love and compassion in the poses. And then we come back upright, and this is where we point the foot instead of flex. And try to bring the heel up towards the crease of the hip. The way that helps me, again, is I like to lean towards the side, and that way the knee can be more up to the sky, but fully closed in the knee joint. And I just have a little bit more room. Okay, and then we re-weight that left side of the seat. As you come upright, the knee descends down just a little bit more perhaps, and fold over just a little bit more. And with fullness and love at the forefront of the asana, know that anytime it's bringing you pain, that is not love, and we've got to find a way out. All right, come back upright, and then just slowly take the foot down, sort of giving it the time. Gentle on the hips, and then the foot goes wide. Cool. Soles of both feet together in Baddha Konasana. Do pull the heels in as tight towards the seat as works. And take the hands behind you, lift your butt off of the ground, and even pull it in a little bit tighter. Push the feet in and extend the knees out. So when I'm super tight in this bound angle position, folding forward is not an option. Just push the feet in, extend the knees out. And then I want you to give yourself some little bit more room. Maybe that's 6 to 8 inches, heels further away from the pelvis, and then fold over. Even as you fold over, keep pushing the feet in and extending the knees out in either direction. Okay, come all the way up. Stretch the legs straight out in front of you. And seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Reach your hands to hold on to your feet. If the feet are not accessible, hands come down to the ground or hold your lower legs. For this work, heels down, calves down, back of the thighs down as much as possible. Sits bones down. Inhale and bring the torso back upright. Okay, this should give us a lot of good prep ready for Agni Stambhasana. So I'm going to bend the right knee and take the right ankle so that the shin is again as parallel to the front of your mat, to that length of your mat as possible. When I do this, my knee is off of the ground, and so I've got to shift myself to get the knee on the ground. So I've got my left side off of the mat here. This is how I start this version of the pose. All right, and then I want to stack and make my legs like they're fire logs. So I'm going to stack the ankle right on top of the knee. And this is a huge space in between the knee and ankle. And our job is to close that space as much as works. And we're going to do it in the same way that we've done the last couple of poses. So the more that I start to set the seat down, I've got to build my torso upright at the same rate. As soon as my left hand can come down to the ground, I'm going to pick up the right side and start to shift the right side back, back, back until the left knee starts to lower down right on top of the ankle. And again, it's not close the space completely, it's close the space as much as works. Some folks like to slide a block in between that space just to make it easier to hold. I let the air do the work. Okay, like Baddha Konasana, when we are really tight in, it can be hard to lean forward. If this is like, I don't know if I love this pose, but I'm really trying, you probably want to stay straight upright. If you're one of those folks that loves this pose and you easily feel the love, fold over and embrace it a little bit more. And take a couple of breaths. And then slowly come upright. If you had folded forward, lean back so that I have my weight on my hands to easily extract the legs. Okay, lots of ways to get into this pose. Again, this is just one way. We got one more side to give it a go. So left leg, take the shin parallel to the edge of the mat that you're looking at. Right side of the seat off of the ground. Okay, to start with, that shin is going to stay on the ground. We're going to take our right ankle on top, and you can see the shape of the pose. Like if I'm looking through my legs, I can really see there's a triangle that I'm forming, and I can see how I can create logs that will come all the way knee to ankle. Yeah? But to get the top leg to be that log, put the weight into the hands, lift your seat off the ground, lift the left side as much as you lift the right, and then slowly, slowly take it down. Again, holding the distance as needed, not forcing, not pushing down. Fold over, dependent on if that brings you a little bit more joy in the pose. That's a big ask. Notice your breath, work with it. In a year where almost all of us have been sitting more, sedentary more, this pose is hard. Come on back up, lean back, stretch the legs out, give it a little pat. Let's take the right foot, I'm sticking with you guys, my right foot in and over, and then give it a little twist. Come out of your twist, extend the leg, give it a go on the other side. In and over, like the front of the shin, or take the hand to the outside of the thigh. Don't overthink this one, just what feels nice. Untwist, send both legs straight out to the front. Arms up to the sky, that 90-degree angle. Take it to an 80-degree angle, straight arms, straight legs, straight torso. Hold it there or take it to 75 or more narrow. And then release the arms, round the back evenly. Enjoy this version of Paschimottanasana. Wiggle the toes a little bit and then relax the feet. Come all the way up and then lie all the way down. Lie onto your back. Okay, Firelog pose on our back. This one looks more familiar. Take the right ankle on top of the left knee and point the right knee out to the sides, that figure 4 shape. And this one, lying down on our back, we just pull the left heel in towards our seat and thread the arms through. Being very mindful today to keep the shin, the right shin, still in a straight line as much as possible. And then come halfway out, unrelease your hands, release your hands. Okay, and then I'm gonna try a half lotus leg lying on our back. Sometimes we get our spine out of the equation, and we did this in a seat, and maybe it's a little more accessible on our back. So I'm gonna point rather than flex the foot. This was where we walked it up the leg and try to take the heel into the crease of the hip. As you do that, pull the left leg in, hug around the front of the shin. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep myself in this shape. And my option is A, stay in this shape by staying on your back. Keep doing this for longer. The B part is to use a good bit of abdominal strength to rock up to a seat. I'm kind of laughing as I say it because it's probably not the most graceful thing. I'm going to use some force and rock up to a seat. So you're either staying on your back or you've rocked up to a seat with me. Okay, I've still got my right foot in that half lotus leg, and I'm going to lean over to the right side. And here I'm getting tricky. I'm going to try to pull the left heel in towards the seat and set the thigh down. So I've got 2 completely closed knee joints, fully closed, both sides. Lift both arms up to the sky. And you're doing any version of this that works for you and fold it over. And then come back upright. So the most important thing is that we get ourselves safely out of this. I'm going to keep the right leg as is, lean over to the right side, go back, sole the left foot on the ground, lift the knee up, and rock back down to where I started. Set the left foot on the ground, slowly, like we did in all the other variations, pull the right heel out until it's more at that regular figure 4 position. I'm ready to stretch the right leg up and lower it all the way down. Okay, soles of both feet on the ground. Let's see what happens on the second side. Cross the left ankle over the right thigh. Point the knee out to the side. And then you're pulling the right knee in, thread the arms through, give it a little bit of a hug. So, these before stages, before we come up to a seated position, they are all helping. Spending more time in them can be super helpful for eventually coming upright in the position. And it can just really spotlight the pose rather than like half doing the next thing. So good benefits. Maybe you're staying as is here. Moving along, we take our arms out, point the foot rather than flex. So there's a few times in our yoga practice where we really do ask more for a sickled foot, more of a point to sickle, and lotus is one of those. Pull the crease of the hip and ankle right in together. Take some maneuvering around. I always have to ask my quad muscle to soften a little bit, and then try to squeeze the right knee into the chest. As I squeeze my right knee into the chest, I am just forming a better connection of that closed knee joint. Okay, you're continuing to stay and work there, or safely getting yourself back to an upright seat. At first, the left thigh is off of the ground, and that might be your stop point. You're right here. Next stop point is to lean over until your left thigh is on the ground. And then we're going to pull the right heel in towards the seat. So we've got one leg like hero pose, one leg like lotus, and lean forward if it works. And then come back up. Lean back over to your left side so you can extract yourself. Lie back down onto your back. Right foot off of the ground so that you can carefully guide your left ankle back towards the line of your knee. And then take it off, stretch the legs straight. Lower both legs, reach the arms overhead. Feet long out in front. Squeeze your knees into the chest. Cross the right thigh over the left thigh for eagle legs. And then kick your heels more towards the opposite sits bones, towards the opposite sides of your hips. Shoelace pose. Reach to hold on to the front of your feet, like your shoelaces. So my right hand is holding on to my left foot and vice versa. Kick the heels out into the hands or towards the hands, away from the hips. Let me say that again. Kick the heels out, away from the hips. So thighs together, knees together, heels apart. And release. Take the soles of both feet to the floor and let the knees fall in. Hands on your hips, the front of the pelvis. Give it a couple of breaths. And then And shoelace pose for the second side. So for me, that's left thigh on top of the right. Pull the knees towards the chest. Hold on to the front of the feet again. With the heels falling closer into the hip, that's more doable. Push the heels out away from the hips as much as works. Spotlighting that outer hip stretch one more time. And release. Soles of the feet to the mat. Let the knees fall in. Again, hands front of the hips, just kind of right there at the groin crease. A little bit of weightiness. Okay, hug the knees into the chest. Pull your head and shoulders off the mat. Give your body a hug that clearly shows love for self, love for body here. Squeeze it tight. And take the hands out to a T. Lay the head and shoulders back down. And bring both knees over towards the right side in a supine twist. Slowly bring the knees across your center and over to your second side. And once more, knees back into the center. So any last movement? I like after all of that hip work to straighten the legs here and do like a forward fold on my back. Always feels nice at the end of that practice. You can do this or something else. And then unwind to Shavasana. Your final relaxation pose. Traditional Shavasana, lie down onto your back, extend the arms and legs, close the eyes. As always, you're welcome to take a different still position. Legs up the wall might be quite suitable today after the work as well. As you release the movement of the body, see your breath. Again, paying attention to its rise and fall today. Allowing the mantra, head up, heart open, to continue to carry with you these final days of February. As specifically calls to love, I offer these mantras. I open to giving and receiving love. Love is a connection with myself. When I love, I am living yoga. I open to giving and receiving love. Love is connection with myself. When I love, I am living yoga. Take your time, slowly come back. Movement and fingers and toes. Seeing the breath with the movement. As slowly as you wish, roll to one side and come up to a seated position. And then gather palms together, thumbs right at the sternum, right at the place of the heart. Bow in full gratitude to yourself, to each other, and for this practice. Namaste.